For almost 150 years, the Saratoga name has been synonymous with the finest quality, sustainably sourced spring water available anywhere. Saratoga carries on the rich tradition of its forefathers by crafting each stunning blue glass bottle with the same attention to detail and care that has been its hallmark for generations. Visit SaratogaSpringwater.com today or ask for us by name at your local market or restaurant. Saratoga Spring Water. Make every day exquisite.
Good morning, everyone, and a happy Belmont Stakes Day. Welcome to Talking Horses. He is the Big A, Anthony Stabile. I'm Andy Serling, and it is a glorious day. How are you?
Happy Belmont Day, my friend.
You too.
It's nice to be back here as we wrap the Triple Crown the right way.
You're a little
Fans
low-key
in the
this morning,
stands. I'm
aren't
sorry?
you? You're a little low-key right now. What's going on?
I'm in beast mode. I'm ready to go. 13 big ones, 9 stakes, 8 grade ones. These are the days you gear up for. It's a beautiful day. Thanks to everyone who is coming out. Enjoy it wherever you're going to watch it. 8 going post. Word for the 153rd Test of the Champion.
I would have thought you would have had a prepared statement to begin the day. A lot of good stuff going on today. 8 grade 1 races, 9 total stakes, of course, including the 153rd running of the Belmont Stakes. You need to play it through Naira Bets. Head over to Naira Bets. If you're not a member, what have you been waiting for? It's Belmont Stakes Day. Keep the money in the game and support racing in New York. 2 important things to do. NairaBets.com. We'll match with $200 here. Francisco, you're in a big hurry here, aren't you? Matched up to $200 of your initial deposit plus $25 free bet. Use the promo code Belmont25. I don't know if you caught it. Francisco was in a there it is. Massive hurry to move on. Was that a cue? Okay, now we can go on to the early bird special. Early bird bonus, excuse me. I better talk fast because you never know when this may leave. Through the app only. If you bet at least $100 in the Belmont races 1 through 5, Dan Silver's already bet more than $100 in the first race. He's sitting, by the way, in the set, hoping that either Anthony and I keel over and he can take over on Talking Horses. You get $20 back, win or lose. So that's an early bird special. That's a lock. How do you not bet at least 100 in the first 5? I plan to lose at least 100 in the first 5. Also, America's Day at the Races, 11:30 to 3, 7:15 to 8. 3 to 7 or 7:15. Of course, the coverage will be on NBC Sports Network likely, and then NBC covering the Belmont Stakes. Catch all the action.
There's also a pick 6 bonus today. If you bet $20 into the pick 6, at least 20 bucks, and your ticket loses, you get $10 back.
How do you not play that?
I don't know.
I mean, even Dan will play. Dan was putting
Dan
20,000
Silver,
into the pick 6.
the first person ever called me July of 2016 asking me if I wanted to fill in for you for one day here on Talking Horses.
So we have him to blame.
You can blame him.
If you want, he's standing on the set now. So if you have anything you want to show, if you're at Belmont and you want to come to the 3rd floor set, the man responsible for this, he's here. Race number 1, big scratch to the number 3 Hagler. I know he was your top choice. You scratched in the horse that I have it on top, and that's the 4 Wit. You've got a $575,000 practical joke for Mike Rapoli, St. Elias Stable, etc., making his debut. If Todd Fletcher is not debuting a 2-year-old that can run in the first race at Belmont, I would assume that he is. Looking forward to seeing a practical joke run, and imagine it'll be a very short price by post time.
Agreed. He's half to a horse who was very popular in the Pacific Northwest named Barkley, who won half of his 20 starts, including the Long Acres Mile. Very good sprinting early in his career. You'd have to imagine, for everything Andy just said, this horse is going to come out running. I don't remember the last time we ran a 2-year-old maiden race on Belmont Stakes Day. Do you?
I remember we used to do it when people used to actually run 2-year-olds. I remember Mark Hennig winning with a Ned Evans horse. I want to say going way back, but I remember we used to really, used to be a big day to run 2-year-olds, and on a big day like this, and was glad to see we had a race. Todd Fletcher's another one. You have second. I have the 8 Too Much Action second. Jeremiah O'Dwyer, I didn't put the stat up. But he is 6 for 38, but with a 315 ROI with 2-year-old first-time stars in dirt sprints. So when he's won, he's had some prices that have won. It wasn't like one big price. It was a couple or 2 or 3 decent prices in there. Thought it was interesting. He shipped this one up to run.
Texas bred, who found his way to the Mid-Atlantic. Too Much Bling, very popular sire down in Texas, wins almost all of those futurity and early season 2-year-old and 3-year-old races for the state breds. Too Much Bling, very fast horse. We're going to see one of his offspring up here breaking from the outside draw with Luis Saez.
There's 2 questions. Where was Too Much Bling bred?
You know, for some reason, I feel like this is some wackadoo answer like Iowa.
No, it's Ohio.
Okay.
He's Ohio bred.
Okay.
And who is the best Texas bred you've ever seen? And it's not even close. True.
Kip DeVille?
No, he was Oklahoma bred.
Oklahoma, okay.
From a speed figure standpoint, he has he may have the highest recorded Beyer speed figures of all time. And don't forget, this was after Secretariat in the Belmont.
Oh, I don't know.
Groovy. I feel like Groovy ran like in the 130s.
That's right.
Groovy was Texas bred. Tinnitus was his dam.
Wow. Wow, very good.
You know, it's just the first race, and think of all the useless information being given out on talking.
You're right, it was a 130 Beyer.
130 or something, 32. I don't think it had Beyer figures, but he was doing it. Maybe it was racing times he did it for when he ran. I'm not even sure exactly the timing. Anyhow, race number. Wait, Ryan Martin's checking in. Got Coco, apparently. I do know who's riding Known Agenda. I'm going to check and see if it's public information. We will announce that in a minute. Race number 2. Race number 2. Let's take a look at a couple horses. Ranger Rick, who finished 2nd, and LeBron James. Isn't it funny that King James, LeBron, the horse, that's LeBron James' nickname, of course, he ran against King of Miami.
He did.
And he was briefly King of Miami, and he couldn't beat King of Miami.
If it was 6, I wouldn't mind King James, but he never wins going 7. Anyway.
By the way, Jose Ortiz will be riding Known Agenda, for those of you that were wondering. Breaking news on Talking Horses, I tell you, it pays to be connected. It pays to be a very important man. A font of useless information.
I don't know how you would know.
That may have been actually relatively relevant information for me, which
You've been talking to Dan Silver, obviously. Yeah, I mean, Ranger Fox ran okay. King James, I thought they ran okay. I mean, I don't know.
It was a bit of a merry-go-round race.
You feel like they really didn't have an excuse. I mean, I know King of Miami kept on
they had
going.
An excuse. They lost to a horse that ran a little bit better than him. Yeah. That's often your excuse when you lose races. Doesn't mean you didn't run well. And they're the 2 logical horses coming out of that race. You're going to one of the Chad Browns. I'm going to the other one. What is your thing with Pipeline?
Dan was 2 for 12. She was great at stakes place on turf. This horse has 3 siblings. All have tried the 3 siblings who have tried the turf have all won. To Speightstown. Horse ran in the first, Captain Mahamel. Dirt race. Looked like he would hope that he got something out of that race running against 2 fast. Mahamel came back and ran a 99 yesterday by our speed figure. And now this horse goes to what you would imagine with the pedigree is the surface that he was going to be the better on.
Well, I'm going to talk about that.
Okay.
And you're 100% right in all you said, and he can absolutely win. He comes out of a good race, and he's got pedigree, and I'm not in any way disagreeing with you. Maybe it's a good sign in a way that Chad Brown ran in the dirt for the first time, but this is not a trainer that has any problem running first-time stars in the turf. He does not. So he must have thought this horse showed him enough that he wanted to try him on the dirt. Now, maybe his thought was, he showed me enough, I want to get dirt out of the way, and it's not impossible this was the case. I've never asked him. That's not what I do. But I wondered a little bit about that. If maybe he thought this horse was going to be a good dirt horse, and now he goes, okay, he's got a lot of turf pedigree, he stunk on the dirt, let's try him on the turf.
And again, haven't spoke to Chad about this. I thought the other way. I thought he may have thought, let's get a race in him on the dirt.
He doesn't do that. He doesn't do it.
I know.
Anthony.
But let me ask you, well, let me
he
ask you a
doesn't do
question.
it, so why would you assume he does something he never does?
Because out of that race, if he thought or you thought he was going to be a dirt horse, don't you, I mean, he got beat 8 lengths to those horses.
But he's not a trainer that gives his horses first time.
But wouldn't he be back on the dirt then?
I don't know. That's why I don't like him.
That's
why I'm not enamored by him.
And that's why I do like him.
Yeah, I completely disagree with you, and I think you're assuming something we've never seen from this trainer. As far as the one soft power, you know, this is one of these Europeans that they bought over at Tattersall's. The second dam was extremely good. Not extremely good, but she was a Juddmonte horse. A couple of minor foals, but I'm going to just go with the Tattersall horses for Chad Brown. They seem to be runners, so I've taken Soft Power on top in this race. I thought Charleston Strong was a little bit interesting in here, cutting back. I know the cutbacks don't always work, but does get Lasix. And I thought this horse was a little interesting off the race as a 2-year-old, which don't make her look very good, or him look very good.
No, and it is a cutback to just 7. This horse ran a mile and a 16, so it's not like he's cutting all the way back to 6. Cutting back to 7 is not as big of an issue for me. I thought about using him, I don't know, first race in 6 months and change. It looks like I think some of these first-time turfers and first-time starters in general.
Why don't you have the 1 in there at all?
He's the infamous 5th pick.
Why don't you have the 1 in there at all?
I don't know. I didn't, you know, the siblings 0 for 7 combined. Nobody's done much running yet. 7/8 first time.
Okay. We'll see. Race number 2, interesting race. We're on the turf. Turf is good, by the way. As far as, you know, if you look at, we were talking about this before we came on, if you look at the turf races yesterday, the New York was running 204 and 3. Yeah, on a firm turf, right, or 201 and change or something, you know, you don't have to be super hard all the time. That kind of rain that we got yesterday, that extreme, fast, big blowout rain, that doesn't affect the turf the same way a sustained run. You get the same amount of water on it in a long period of time, it soaks in. That time, a lot of it rolls off, and I don't think the turf was dramatically affected. And also keep in mind, we took the rails down yesterday for the first time, so we're running on pretty pristine ground.
It was fresh turf,
I think we're in very good shape, and you know that's why we have the genius Glenn Kozak keeping things going here at NYRA. Race number 3, the Woody Stevens, presented by Nassau County Industrial Development Agency. We'll take a look at the war that Jackie's Warrior and Dream Shake got in. And you got to give Dream Shake credit. They have thrown this horse to the wolves in every one of his starts since his maiden. He keeps running really well. And it was nice to see Jackie's Warrior show that the slop and the 2 turns the first time didn't matter. This was a heck of a race. Yeah. He's a good horse.
He's just a good horse. To do this, like you said, 43 and 4, 107 and 4. I think he set the track record going 5 furlongs and came within 2/5 going 6 furlongs.
Well, the 5 track records are set by 2-year-olds.
Well,
so
you know, I'm just saying, just as a you know, in a mile race.
It's another running McLean's music. Only 95,000 for him. A terrific sire.
I don't know what you say. I don't know what you can say bad about this horse.
Oh, the question is, you could say a lot of good about him. There's nothing bad you can say about him. He's been dominant. But he's got Dream Shake in here as well again, who I don't think is going to let him go. And drain the clock to the inside. Now, I do think Jackie's Warrior is the horse to beat. The horse, I think, has absolutely no chance here whatsoever is drain the clock. You have him second. Here's his Bayshore against inferior competition with absolutely no speed in the race, and the only other speed fell to his face at the start. Why do you think he's a contender in here, Anthony? I think he should be 20 to 1 in this race.
Well, I think he's not fast enough to keep up with Jackie's Warrior.
So how's that going to serve him?
I think he's going to, if they come back this time, you know, both of those horses, that race could have taken a lot out of them. I always want the speed coming out of that race. Okay. I don't want the horse chasing. I think he's going to get a good trip in here.
I want to make 2 lunch bets.
Okay.
I want to bet you Nova Rags beats him, and I want to bet you the Caddo River beats him.
I will not take the Nova Rags bet.
What about Caddo River?
If you see it there,
okay, what about
Caddo River? You could have as many as you want.
6 over 2, 2 lunches. We are at 75. It will be 77 after this race. He has no shot. I completely couldn't possibly agree with
that. No shot.
He's the biggest. Drain the clock is about as big a dunce cap at the board horse. Nova Rags is dangerous cutting back in here because I think he's performed well. I thought about actually picking him. I think he's performed well going longer, and I'm not sure he's not a horse that really just wants to sprint despite being in Union Rags, you know?
I flip-flopped him, and I went back and forth for a while on who I was going to put second in here.
You decided to pick the horse with no shot second.
This horse, yeah, I mean, he's a horse where if they hit up front, he could pick up these pieces and win this race. I don't disagree with you. I think he's.
I don't even know how much they have to hit up front.
Yeah,
he's not that slow.
He's not that slow, but you would have to think they're going to clear off on him in the early running, and he's going to be behind horses.
Oh, yeah.
See how he, we'll see how he reacts.
It's not going to be 10, 15 lengths behind unless they're going really fast.
No.
I get the concerns about Caddo River in this race, and I understand. He is a horse that's only won races when he's been able to control up front. But I'm not. Here's my guess here. This is his second place finish in the Arkansas Derby, where he finished ahead of Concert Tour, which Some people might have thought at one time meant he was a good horse. Now there's a severe debate whether or not that's relevant. But I do like that he was game, at least, in coming back for second. I'm not sure he's not more of a sprinting type. And I think it's great that they ran here instead of wasting his time in the Matt win, which he wouldn't have won anyway. I know he lost here at 7 furlongs, and he also didn't have the lead in that race. That maiden race here at 7 furlongs, and Brad Cox, you can see, those are incredible numbers. Look at those numbers. 30% with 162 starters cutting back. It's worked for him with a positive ROI for a guy like Brad Cox, and he might be the most overbet trader in the country because he runs his horses primarily at places like Oakland and Churchill,
Downs,
and they're all bet on the board. I mean,
yep.
And so that's an incredible ROI and percentage. That race, Speaker's Corner, who I'd love to know where Speaker's Corner is, the Godolphin horse that Bill Mott trains, because he could be a killer. Greatest Honor was third in there. Miles D, who will be coming back as a maiden, who was a first-time star, was fourth in there. That was a killer maiden field. And I've always felt like they stretched him out, understandably, on the Triple Crown Trail, but this is probably what he wants to do. And I get the argument that he may want to rate, but Anthony, he's not going to be 2-1. So I don't mind taking that gamble. And the idea that he's a bigger price than Drain the Clock on the board, to me, is one of the biggest jokes I've ever seen, because Drain the Clock's best race doesn't warm this horse up.
Yeah, I think he'll be shorter than Drain the Clock, but that's me.
Well, that's not your answer to it.
No,
though,
it's not. I just don't think. I think he's running against. I think he's running against better sprinters than he ran against distance horses.
That's a reasonable
and
argument.
I think he's a
well,
horse
at least
that needs,
one or two of them.
I think he's a horse that needs the. I mean, Andy, if we're being honest, any of those horses that he ran against at Oakland this year, do you think any of them are better than Jackie's Warrior?
We just went through that.
Yeah.
And we just had that argument. We don't need to reiterate it. I didn't disagree with you.
I think he's a need the lead type, and he can't see it here.
A lot of these horses that are not necessarily need the lead types going 7. I want to give him one chance to find out, and I disagree with you about the 2. People and you like 1s. And that's one of the reasons that people like you pick this horse. And he is slow.
People like this horse, though.
I like this horse today.
People like this horse.
I like this horse. I think they're going to be rewarded for doing the right thing.
Okay.
Race number 4. This is the Brooklyn, presented by Northwell Health. Of course, Northwell Health with the vaccines here at Belmont Park. I want to thank them for that, and as well as helping us here at Belmont. Interesting race, the Brooklyn. I actually thought these mile and a half, these marathons come up sometimes kind of weak. This one didn't.
No, this is a good race.
Got a nice grouping of horses. And look at this. You and I have the same horse on top. We'll show Musical Heart, Aja Weed, and Rocketry running 1, 2, 3 in the flat out. Why do you like Aja Weed?
I was always a fan of this horse.
He likes you
I just think exactly. I just think he's finally getting to do what he wants to do. I think he wants these marathon races. He keeps coming here. I mean, this is a big effort for, he's running against horses that they're either seasoned, or they're horses like Rocketry, who he's beating by a pole here, that have done this their entire careers, and he's doing this for the first time, keeps on coming.
Why is he going to beat Musical Heart today, though?
Well, Musical Heart's got to get some pressure from Tiz a Magician, and from even maybe Rise the Guy, who's getting a rider change to Jose Ortiz, who's I would imagine going to be a little bit more aggressive and try and get this horse more forward. There just has to be a little bit more. I don't even say
Moretti's
pace.
not that slow.
And Moretti's not that slow off of a 9-month layoff after running a mile and 3/4. I got to think there's at least a little moving up front and a little contention up front. And
it seems like it should be a relatively honest pace. We rarely see those around here, so I'll believe it when I see it, but I don't disagree. And it does seem like Musical Heart should have at least a little bit more pressure than he did last time, but around here, one guy goes and everybody else grabs. One of the things that I like about Aja Weed is that Todd Fletcher, and it's interesting because it sort of coordinates with his tremendous record in the Belmont Stakes. Todd Fletcher has done very well with these marathon races, getting horses of his that are real long-distance horses. A horse like Moretti, who's really not that much horse. He managed to get this horse to go well, and I think Aja Weed, like you, may have found a home in these races. But
he's eligible for an A other than, yet he's running him.
Well, but he's not going to find an A other than.
Right.
At this distance. He's not that good going shorter. As far as Tiz a Magician will show his blowout win in this sort of uncompetitive Tokyo City, I'll tell you something. I'm scared of this horse. Coming here for Richard Mandela, who ran one horse here in the last umpteen years, a filly, a Muse, who was going to get bred, or a mare who didn't run well this winter. I know the going gets tougher here. This horse is pretty good, Anthony.
Yeah, he's going against
a legitimate racehorse, this horse.
He's going to have some real he's going to look at some real horses on the front end of the musical heart.
Well, he doesn't need the lead to win.
No, he doesn't. But he's going to be forwardly placed, and he's going to be mixing it up. He's going to have some real,
but he doesn't need the lead to win. Real horses. He's running against Express Train.
Forget about going Idle. I mean going this distance.
But
I know he ran against better
well
horses.
At these distances. You don't have him in your top 4.
I don't like this horse today.
Why?
Because I just told you. I think he's facing some real distance competition horses today. I don't know what he's. I know he's not running against much out there, and he's doing it the easiest way. He's just sitting off paces or making easy leads. And
boy, I couldn't possibly understand how you say that about a horse that finished 5th, beaten 4 lengths to Idle and Express Train and Maxfield.
But it's a different story, Andy. Now you're dealing with a mile and a half.
But he's shown that he's possibly better at a mile and a half. I think your argument is as flawed as an argument can be. Okay. We will have to agree to disagree. Let's take a look at Lone Rock and Rise the Guy. You've got Lone Rock second. I've got him third in here. I mean, isn't this the horse you're supposed to be pointing to about running against nobody? My God, he beat You're to Blame 2 back. And Rise the Guy is a nice horse, but let's be realistic.
I don't disagree with anything
The only thing he's done is overcome his rider.
What I will say is this. His last 3 starts for Diodoro were the best 3 starts of his life. He sits off these paces, takes over around the turn. He's going to get a great setup.
But you're making an argument for him that you just said was a negative for Tiz Magician. He's running against You can't make the same argument in a positive and a negative way. That's what I have your problem with the 8.
I didn't have the morning line. I did not imagine.
What's the morning line?
No, it does, because I thought Lone Rock was going to be twice the price as Tiz Magician.
Okay, but you just made an argument. Now you have a new argument. Okay, so now we have a new argument. So now it's the odds.
No, twice the price. I'll give him more of a chance than I will the other horse.
Okay, I think Lone Rock has a chance.
And the other one's going to be more forward. I think Lone Rock is going to be.
But 2 lengths behind him. 2 lengths behind him.
Well, that's a lot.
It's not. It's not really. Okay, we disagree. That's fine.
A lot.
That's fine. We disagree. Let's look at Moretti. I've never been a Moretti fan, as I've made well known. And for me, this is a horse who's finally facing a good field in one of these races. I mean, with all due respect to You're to Blame, and I guess Rocketry every now and again wakes up and runs a good race, this just seems like much tougher than he's been running against, doesn't it?
And I mean, he's got to go a mile and a half. As good as Todd is getting these horses, he's got to go a mile and a half off 10 months.
Well,
against a real field, right? He's not running against horses.
Not the right trainer to do it, and he wouldn't be running them if he didn't think he would run well. Yeah, I don't disagree with that, and those are fantastic stats. Isn't this an amazing stat? There you go. I mean, Todd Fletcher is winning almost 40% on dirt routes, which may be the toughest race to get a horse ready for off a long layoff.
Yeah, listen,
those stats are crazy.
Truth of the matter is, if you want anybody in this spot, it's probably him.
Joe Francisco did that stat up himself.
But
I just want you to know
that's a long layoff to go 12 furlongs.
Clearly, he's got the right trainer to do it. That's the Brooklyn. Race number 4, presented by Northwell Health. Race number 5 is the Acorn, not presented by anybody.
With a race like the Acorn, right? You don't need.
So let's start off with search results and travel column. Search results ran great. She lost a horse that ran a little bit better than she did. Yep. I mean, there's no, it's at the end of the day, it's always easier to sort of take losing when you lose to a horse that just ran a little better than you, and that's what Malathal did with a great ride by John Velasquez.
2 undefeated fillies throwing it down in the Kentucky Oaks. What else do you want? Right? These are the horse races we hang around here for.
By me right now.
Yeah, she does not want to give it up either. Search results really dug in there. The last 16th, last 8th, 16th.
The other horse was coming in on her too.
The other horse made it a little tight.
Johnny was doing an IRAD on IRAD. That was a great race. That really was.
Great horse race.
She's terrific. I don't think the scratch of Miss Brazil helps her though, because it doesn't help her, it hurts her competition, but she has enough speed to put herself in the game.
Yeah, right. I would imagine that Travel Column's going to go to the lead.
I don't want to know what you imagine.
Sit off to her, really don't. Sit off of her. And Search Results I can't imagine Search Results is that far behind. I have to imagine she's just laying third off the other 2.
Let me ask you a question.
The scratch probably hurts obligatory the most.
She wasn't winning anyway, but
that's
probably fair. You know what's funny about Miss Brazil scratching? I don't run her here. Not because she figured to win. That race tomorrow's no. I don't know if you've looked at the Jersey Girl, but that race is
right.
There's she's no layover in that field by any stretch.
But
this is the Acorn. Winning the Jersey Girl is not making her career. Winning the Acorn, or even running second,
I don't disagree
has
with you.
enormous value. I get it. I understand why they scratched, but she's pretty good. We'll take a look at obligatory day out of the office and make mischief. I have a take on this race. It wasn't as big a meltdown as I originally thought. That doesn't mean that I don't think Day Out of the Office ran great, because she did. She's coming off a significant layoff. She chased a hot pace. The two speeds ran 10th and 11th. They were very big prices. They both came back and ran buyer figures almost 20 points better. But to be fair, the horse that sat fourth finished fourth. The horse that sat fifth, I think, finished fifth. So it's not like horses that stalked completely evaporated. But she is very good. I'm also a little worried, though, that she didn't have her first work back until a month after the race. And it took her a long time to get back to the track, but she's very good. She won the Frisette at a mile at Belmont. It's a mistake to think that she's not a major threat, and I got to disagree with David wholeheartedly, and we'll get to Travel Column. She will 1,000% be the second choice in this race.
I can't imagine her not being a second choice in this
race. How
race.
could she not be?
It's a very good point.
I think it should be
I'm not going to say
close.
it's a great point. It's a very good point you make about the workout, because this is a filly that there were a couple of hiccups along the way this winter, which caused her to be delayed to get the plan was to get her to the Oaks, not to prep her for the Acorn in the 8 Bells. And they hit a couple of hiccups along the way, Timmy Ham. And now it's only one work in between the races. Yeah. She ran so well.
No, she's a terrific filly.
So well.
She's a terrific filly.
And she's getting back to the one-turn mile at Belmont, where her Frisette was lights out good. Yep. Good effort. So
she's a very, very, very good horse.
Yes, she is. Yes, she is.
As far as obligatory, and I like obligatory, as you know, it's just a different race. She is a last time horse. I want to touch quickly on Travel Column, though. Let me ask you a question. Did you expect her to run in this race?
No.
Did she surprise you when she showed up? I hadn't heard she was running. Maybe she was always running here. That's a weird spot for her. She was awful in the Oaks. Now, she's got some talent. I'm not knocking her. She could, I guess, bounce back, but I thought her Oaks was pitiful.
I want to tell you what my problem is. I kind of feel like, and I've talked to Brad Cox on HRN about this stuff, what the Golden Rod, like when she won the Golden Rod, after the Alcibiades and the stumble at the start, he skipped the Breeders' Cup and pointed her and got her ready for the Golden Rod. Same thing with the Fairgrounds Oaks.
It didn't feel like
I would imagine you're getting ready for the Kentucky Oaks, and then
I would have thought the Mother Goose for her.
I would have thought a little bit more time.
I know it's not a grade one, but get another race and get her back. Get her back on track. Because I shouldn't say her Oaks was pitiful, because it was a poor effort for her. For her.
Right.
She's a good horse, and she was done at the 5/16 or 3/8 pole.
And that's the big issue. The issue is she didn't take him to the 8th pole and get tired late. Her day was over midway on the far turn.
Yep.
But
she was shockingly empty.
She is the one that is going to benefit the most from the scratch of Miss Brazil, because now she's going to control.
No,
at the very least,
what are you talking about?
She's supposed to control. Oh, I think she'll be in front of Day Out of the Office.
You've been hitting the crack pipe a little early today, haven't you?
I think she'll be in front of Day Out at the Office.
You've had some bad pace opinions, but this one is one of the most special ones I've ever seen. She will not be in front of Day Out of the Office.
Okay.
Good luck, Florent. Race number 6. Race number 6. Had a couple scratches here. Last year's winner, Alexandra. She is scratched. Bound for Nowhere. It's kind of hard when the favorite, who might be the best horse in the race, and this is the win in the Shakertown, where he showed he's multidimensional, he can show speed, he can close, is the controlling speed on paper. I mean, the only problem with Bound for Nowhere is he looks too good.
He looks too easy.
He does.
Controlling speed, has run some dynamite races with given the ground. 107 on soft, a 106 buyer on good. He's he's appointment only. He's 7 years old. This is his 16th start.
Right.
But if you strip his trips over to Europe, and he's made 3 of them in his career, you strip those races from his card.
He runs twice a year, this horse.
Right. He runs twice a year, but when he runs,
he's the male Kamari.
He runs.
Does he work the party circuit most of the year?
I mean, look at this horse. His losses in America.
In the backyard.
His losses in America have been a neck, a head, and a neck.
He's a hard horse to not like in here, and I was going to pick him on top. I just don't need to give you an 8-5 shot in this race. And I do think that Stubbins has some things to recommend. We'll show you a trainer stat for Doug O'Neill, who has reasonable numbers getting him ready for turf sprints, which is not easy off the layoff. I thought he ran extremely well in the Jaipur last year. He made the first move in that wicked pace that collapsed and ran one of the best races, if not the best race in there. And then last time out, he was stuck down. I didn't see the bad step on the turn, but a lot of things happen in the Kentucky charts that nobody else sees other than whoever's doing the charts. But he was right down the rail. It had poured before that race, and it just seemed like it might not have been the best place to be stuck, and that was also a very good field. So I thought he was a little interesting.
I feel like something was reported after that race, and that's why he didn't run in the Breeders' Cup from that bad step.
A big bad step.
And now we haven't seen him since that day back in September of last year.
Well, he kept running on after the supposed bad step, but maybe something happened.
Yeah.
I thought that he was an interesting alternative, and he's the one I've decided to take on top. You obviously don't like him at all, but you have to suck up to Lee, so you're going to try to get him 6 furlongs. But I get it. Does he bring sandwiches today?
No.
Okay. Let's go to Fast Boat and Samboyer before getting to the
John Velasquez is going to ride Fast Boat, by the way.
We look at the turf sprint at Churchill. It was a fast pace. The pace collapsed, and these two picked up the pieces. I wasn't thrilled by either one of these horses. I think this is a significantly tougher field.
Yeah, and you and I talk about this all the time, right? When these 5 and 5.5 furlong horses go to 6, it's completely different.
Well, to be fair, the number 12 Samboyer ran well at 6 furlongs.
No, I was talking about Fast Boat for a second. Yeah.
They're not impossible. They're good horses. I just thought that they got the run of the race last time. As far as Casa Creed, take a look at his race, the elusive quality. I do think he ran very well. It was a super slow pace. Got a good trip staying on the rail, but it was super slow pace, and he overcame it. He ran very well, no doubt about it. Problem is, there is a very, very big difference between a mile horse going 7 furlongs and trying to get 6, especially one that doesn't figure to use past pace. And frankly, overall, probably a little stronger field.
A little what?
Stronger field. I put him 4th. I sucked up to Lee a little bit too.
I have a question for you.
I don't know if he's thinking he can win at 6 furlongs.
This pace does not appear to be one that's going to be very quick. I don't think.
Well, especially a completed pass came out. It could have been more forward.
Right. I don't think
Fast
it's going to be that
Boat's going to be close, and so is Samboyer.
I don't think Casa Creed's going to be that far off.
Okay. Well, he was 4 1/4 lengths off 24.48.
I understand that, but I think that was.
You understand that, but it's irrelevant.
I think that was more rider intent. No, because. Again, if they're going to go 40...
Because Junior, Junior, nobody likes to send a horse to a race like Junior.
I'm not saying send. I'm just saying I think you leave out of there for position. He's going to be able to save ground because
he's not that slow.
You and I could get around chewing gum to get over to the rail from in the first 16th of a mile.
He's a little faster than chewing gum.
You know?
Okay.
I think he's going to be a little bit more forward than he was last time.
And that's going to help him?
I think it will help him a little bit. I think it'll leave him a little bit less to do.
But then it'll mute his closing kick.
He might. He might. Listen, I think they're all running for second money in here.
You see that LRE racing.
I think they're all running for second money in here. I really do. I think this horse is tough to beat.
You're underselling some of these horses, including the 8 Gregorian Chant. I have a great Gregorian Chant story that I'm going to share.
The horse or an actual chant?
I have a tremendous. I'm not going to share it, but I have a tremendously funny Gregorian chant. You know what? I'll tell it on Steve Bick's show this week if people want to listen.
Oh, there you go.
It's not as funny as I think. It's just. It involves a self-centered neighbor in a next-door building and his dogs, and then Gregorian chants. We'll take a look at his last race. Francisco. This is where he beat Bombard, who came back and ran 3rd in the, or no, before that he ran 3rd in that turf sprint down at Kentucky Downs that Stubbins was 4th in. What's wrong with this horse? He's in great form. 6 furlongs is good for him. I thought this horse was a really interesting shipper.
Okay.
Didn't like his races. Weren't good enough for you. No? Okay. I'll bet you he beats Lee's horse. I'll bet you 1 lunch he beats the 2.
I'll take that.
Of course you will. 8/2. I got the worst of that, too. My horse got to be a bigger price than Lee.
Yeah.
Just a little.
10
just a
to
little.
8.
Nah, not really. All right. That's the Jaipur. We're almost halfway through the card. I feel really bad about what happened to Phipps.
That was the pick six, but that started the picks, the all grade one pick six.
Where if you bet 20, is that the one?
Bet
you bet
$20 in that, at least $20, you get $10 back on the app. Yep. How can you beat that?
That's a tremendous opportunity. I agree. But that's sort of low. This is 20%. Is it 20% takeout, or is it a different takeout because it's 20 cents? It's probably 15%.
No, it's $1.
15. It's $1.
It's a regular pick six.
Oh, I see. Okay, 15% takeout. Could beat that. This race, I feel bad. I mean, Swiss Skydiver apparently spiked a fever. Valiant's issue is, I think she may have spiked as well. So this race, obviously, you can put the 6th as my 4th pick if you want to, by the way. Anthony somehow has her 3rd, but then again, you got to be nice to Rudy. Anthony uses Belmont Stakes Day especially to be nice to his friends. No, I think it's touching. I really do. I'm getting a little choked up. So Anthony has the same tip on Bonnie South I have, by the way. And just to get it out of the way, they love Bonnie South today. Anthony got the story through Ron Anderson. I heard about the story too. Just getting it out there. Getting it out there so everybody knows that we all have the same tip that everybody on the racetrack has on Bonnie South. Everybody has it, so I don't want Anthony to feel like he's left out. Let's take a look at Latruska.
I didn't have it.
Beating Monomoy Girl, something that only one of their horses ever done, finished ahead of Monomoy Girl. She's really good, obviously. What do you think about her coming here, coming out of Oaklawn and running off Lasix for the first time?
I don't like it.
Since she was in.
I don't like it.
The little delay here, Francisco. Yeah. Should I take a water break here?
Yeah, the one replay I was looking forward to watching today is the one that there's a delay with.
It's a big problem. They're trying to adjust your tip
that
you're pretending you didn't have.
There it is. There she is in the white cap under a Rat Ortiz Jr. Look, the Lasix is a problem. She has never run off Lasix in this country.
Have you found that it's mattered?
Listen, they're individuals.
I found that it hasn't mattered. I know there's
For the most part,
conspiracy theory people out there that
You're
think it has.
going to have horses that are going to react to it. You're going to have horses that don't.
Don't you think with Swiss Skydiver coming out, it lessens the likelihood you see a super contentious pace? I'm
going to tell you why I don't. I'm going to tell you why, and I know you're going to tell me.
I've been looking forward to this.
I live in fantasy
How about you?
land.
Should we take a break just so we can build the excitement for this?
Jose Ortiz is going to ride Latruska, subbing for his brother. The one time she's lost this year in her 4 starts, well, since the layoff, is when She Dares the Devil got in front of her after a little bit of an awkward break. Okay.
Basically.
Right, they let her go. If that's how you beat who is now your main rival, don't you try and beat her again the same way? I think they're going to hit. I know you tell me they don't hit.
Well, they never hit. So what do you say it all the time, they never do, but you're just going to keep trying and trying and trying.
No, but in this instance,
listen, I got to give you credit. You are a man who just keeps on trying.
In this instance,
very few would have the resilience that you do.
You're beating your main rival with that tactic.
I don't totally disagree with you.
Don't you have to go?
But let me ask you a question. What do you think the first quarter in this race will be?
23-1.
Okay. What do you think the half will be?
46-1.
That's not unreasonable. You really think both Latruska and She Dares the Devil, we'll take a look at She Dares the Devil's last race, you think neither one of these horses can survive that? These are pretty good horses. And, you know, I want to say something about this race. I know she only got a 92 buyer. The horse who's second was down inside. She came back and ran 10 buyer points better last week at Churchill. So this might be a little bit better race than it looks. You don't think that these horses are quality speed horses that can survive an honest pace? That's not a wicked pace you describe.
I think they could.
That's an honest pace.
I think they could, but I'm going to tell you what. I don't have a tip on Bonnie South.
Yes.
This is what Andy, enough.
I know you
I don't have a tip on her. Okay?
It's okay.
Here's what I'm going to say. This is the oldest adage in the book. Speed horses are helped with turns. Off the pace horses are helped with straightaways. She gets around one turn going a distance of ground for the first time, and this is a filly.
You don't use that theory normally in your 2 turns thing.
Sure, I do.
This is how she. I do, but
this is what she does. This is what she's going to want to do. I would imagine she's going to be the one to benefit from that 4.5 furlong straight run the speed have from the chute to the far turn. And I think, and maybe I could be wrong. I think
I can't wait to bring this conversation up at some later dates.
They have to go. And I think I like her a lot today. I liked her before the scratches. I like her a lot today.
You liked her before the tip?
Andy, I didn't have a tip.
You liked her before the tip? The whole world has a tip on this horse.
It's not a tip. They're saying she's out working Essential Quality in the morning. That's not a tip.
Wait.
That's not a tip.
A little information. Sorry, the dribble will come out.
That's a statement of fact. It's not a tip. I don't care about workout reports.
It's a story. There's a story.
What's the story?
Well, you do care about workout reports because you just told me she worked out working Essential Quality. She's out working the Belmont favorite.
If that's what you consider a tip.
It's just having fun.
Because I take my tips seriously, as you know.
Yeah, no, your tips run last. You're right. Anthony's tips run last. She actually has a chance to win. She is training very well, and that's why people like her, and that's one of the reasons I picked her in here. And I'm teasing you. I don't disagree with you. I actually tend to agree with you. I think, and I know that Letruska's become and this is one that you normally would say, and I don't think you disagree. Letruska's gotten better since they took the blinkers off.
No question about it.
I'm a little worried because she did run off in the Beldame last year.
Yes.
And that was her worst race, and she ran off.
That's a great example of the one turn.
You're repeating things I preach, so I totally get it. I will say, though, that She Dares the Devil isn't a need the lead type.
She's won from off the pace, but aren't you worried about conceding the lead to Latrice? I mean, she put Monomoy Girl. She came back on Monomoy Girl last time. Aren't you worried about that? And, Brad trains both of them. I think you got to put the pressure on her today.
Well, he's got the one that's outworking Essential Quality, in case you haven't heard.
I think you got to put the pressure on her today and hope.
I wish Swiss Skydiver run. I really liked her today. I've grown to love her, and I'm sorry that she's not running. And I'll tell you something else. I wish Valiance was running, because I'll tell you something. Valiance turned her career around in a big way last year.
Put her on the van for the turf. Put her on the van with Mutasalem.
Okay, we got to move on. We're going to take a quick break. We've still got 6 races left. Let's hear from by the way, from our very good friends at Saratoga Water, who sponsored the show. I should have brought 2 down. What happened to the one that I was drinking? There's supposed to be 2 of those. Where's the other one?
I don't know.
It's right there. It's right by your feet.
Oh.
You're the worst.
Anyway, it's all over the place.
Saratoga Water. We'll be right back.
Make business meetings exquisite. Make a weekend outing exquisite. Make a late night snack exquisite. Make a night on the town exquisite. For nearly 150 years, the Saratoga Spring Water Company has been producing the finest spring water available anywhere. Saratoga Spring Water. Make every day exquisite.
Did you miss us? Tell the truth. He's Anthony Stabile. I'm not. Welcome back to Talking Horses for the final 6 races of today's Belmont Stakes 13-race extravaganza. Let's go on to the Just a Game. Big scratch, a blowout. I guess she had a foot bruise, unfortunately. Yeah. Flavien Prat will be riding Pocket Square.
Yeah.
And by the way, from all of us, we wish Irad Ortiz a quick recovery, and we miss him. That changes the race because it takes speed out of the race.
It takes the speed out of the race,
right.
Yes.
And wait, is Sweet By and By running?
Sweet By and By is scratched because she tied up on Thursday.
Right, so it takes the 2 speeds out.
Both speeds are out of the race.
So now Abscond is the speed. And as we look at Pocket Square, who's your top choice, doesn't this really hurt her, the lack of speed this race? Have at it.
It should. You would think it would.
It does. Doesn't mean she'll win.
She got a real pace to run into in her U.S. debut here at Keeneland, going the mile on the 16th. Now she has to cut back to the mile in a race that does not figure to heat up like this. Reminiscent of Antono, who did the same thing back in 2017. She won one of these allowance races at Keeneland, came here and won just a game for Chad and Juddmonte. Yeah, this filly looked the goods last time, but yeah, I mean, you have to feel like she's compromised a little bit now. No question about it.
The likely speed, actually, is probably Summer Romance.
Well, yeah, the 2 Godolphins coming over, they've taken turns beating each other so far over in Dubai this year. Mike Smith going to ride Althika, who comes from off the pace, and Summer Romance is going to get Luis Saez, who is more forwardly placed. And I would imagine she is going to be, if not on the lead, very, very close to it. You know, the speed of this, I mean, Blowout was going to you know, put on a decent pace in here, you'd have to think it's going to be a little bit more reasonable up front now, and I think that puts Summer Romance on the lead.
Yeah, it's possible if she breaks that she will be on the lead. That's a good point. And you like her more than I do. I just didn't love her European form, but I prefer others. But that might make her dangerous in here.
Part of the reason I liked it was because I felt like she was going to be one of the first ones, if not the first one, to come calling on Blowout.
I liked Blowout, though. I thought she could win this race, honestly.
I did too.
Obviously, that really, and it hurts Chad Brown's chances because not only does he lose a top horse, but he loses speed that may help his others in here.
But what about Regal Glory? Can Regal Glory, and I know she's never really been forward, but can you call a little bit of an audible here and maybe have her a little bit more forward?
She'll probably be more forward in here, but I don't know if she's good enough to win, but she may be more forward. I picked Tama here. I figured she'd be a better price than Pocket Square, and I do think both of these horses are very dangerous in here. This is the Jenny Wiley. I'm not sure how good Tama here is, but she'd win her race here easily, but that was a lesser field. Then it was just a tough ship to ship over to Del Mar. It probably wasn't the best move. They're supposed to run her at Churchill. They ended up canceling all their turf races, and I actually think she ran very well in this race. It was an absolute no-pace race in a yielding turf, and Julia Foxtrot is a good horse, was able to control. She got put into a chasing position. She's not her normal running style, and it just didn't work for her. And I think a horse like Tama here, she is so helped by these one-turn miles. I think they suit her perfectly.
No question.
And I thought her price would be fair enough, so I put her on top.
Yeah, no question about it. You know it's a paceless race when she's sitting second for 75% of it like she was last time. But again, the speed coming out kind of hurts her chances as well. You know, you can look at it the other way. You can find the silver lining and say, well, she was a little bit closer to a slow pace last time. If they don't go that fast, maybe she'll be more in the game today.
Yeah, she needs to be able to make her kick. So we'll see how close she is. I wonder if Daddy is a Legend is a horse that could be a little bit forward at times. She has been. She doesn't really seem to have a lot of speed anymore. Thought she was a little interesting. I didn't like the horses that finished behind Blowout in the Distaff Turf. I thought they had their chance, New York Girl and Zofel.
I agree.
What do you think of Todd Fletcher turning back Always Shopping?
Curious move, right?
No, I think I thought it was a clever decision by him.
Okay.
Because she wasn't winning the New York. The problem with her is that she got better going longer, and not even the mile and quarter of New York, mile and 3/8, mile and a half. And it bothers me, and I worry a little bit that she may just not be effective and good enough in a mile.
Right.
Because it doesn't work like dirt racing the same way. But I thought it was a little interesting.
She might just not be agile fast enough to go the shorter distance.
Or good enough. Or
she did win going a mile and a 16th.
She may just improve with distance.
Yep.
That's the point.
And you'll see that sometimes too, because I do feel like
16th gets her last in this race.
The longer they go, it kind of waters down the second tier of horses in those races.
Well,
right?
I don't know about that. I just think that there are horses that are better horses when they go longer and are just more effective going longer. She's run Beyer figures that make her a contender in this race. I just think it's she's
but they're
better
going a mile
horse
and a half and a mile and 3/8. Yeah.
I get it. I just don't think she's a mile horse. We'll see, though. I thought it was when I saw her enter, I thought it was a clever change of ideas. She also didn't draw well in New York, which may have had something to do with it. I think she drew the outside post.
She did.
Race number 9 is the Met Mile. It is the Hillendale Met Mile, excuse me. I've been remiss. It was the Longines Just a Game, by the way. I love that. Longines a great sponsor. Got the clock. I like that. Get the watches out. I think it's cool. The Hillendale Met Mile. Hillendale stands curling, by the way. And one of my favorite sires, McLean's Music as well.
Music, yeah.
I think a Fulda McLean's Music ran the other day.
Really?
Yeah, I think at Churchill we were doing a race, and I think there was a Fulda one. It was the first time started or not. There was a Fulda McLean's Music. Remember the Dam, Forest Music? Do you remember her first 2 starts? Who trained her?
Was that Bob and Luana Lowe?
No.
I had the wrong horse.
Michael Gill, actually.
Wow.
Was trained by Mark Schumann. She won her debut by about 17 or 19 lengths and in 6 furlongs. And like 17 days later, they ran her in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies, and she was 6-1. Half Bridled won it. She was 14th, 13th or 14th, but she wasn't a router. She won the Honorable Miss in her first start for Steve Asmussen in Stone Street after they bought her. Anyhow, Nick's go. He's going to go. Can anybody, we'll take a look at him winning the Pegasus. I refuse to call it the World Cup because they need to get some horses from other places besides America before I'll call it a World Cup. I'll call it the race formerly known as the Don. The race formerly known as the Don. Rewriting history, one race at a time. It's time to just admit this horse has turned it around. And I know a lot of people like to say, oh, Brad Cox, he took this horse over. Let me tell you something. Brad Cox took this horse over, and he started letting him do what he wants to do, which is flaunt his speed.
That's it.
And use his speed as a weapon. It's a little bit much to pretend that it was. I mean, this horse did win a Grade 1 as a 2-year-old. He's not some bum that never showed any ability. He's not dealing with charlatan in here. At 1 1/8, around one turn, as you say. And I'm not going to try to beat this guy. Maybe finally picking him will be the end of him, but I just think he puts them all on a merry chase, and he's too fast and too good.
You know, part of his issues, the story goes that he was a little bit of a head case. And
Join the club.
Brad has a way with, you know, Monomoy Girl's a little bit of a troubled child, and Brad has a way of getting these horses to perform for him. I worry about this horse with the one turn straight away. This is a horse that he can I don't want to say run off, but I can see him having an issue with this.
How much faster can he go than he went in the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile? He went 21 and 4:44.2,
yeah,
dueling with complexity.
The turns help horses like this, especially that
but
short turn.
No.
The short run to the turn at Keeneland, it's going to give him a benefit.
Let's get back to what you said earlier, which actually was correct. The reason that one-turn races are often better for closes is the long straightaway heats the pace up. This pace was fast. So the mitigation of that around two-turn races did not happen. You can't use an argument in one race and change it in the next race. Normally, two-turn races have slower paces. This was not one of those two-turn races.
Fair enough.
You can't use the same argument. I'm not saying he's going to win, but
he had to go that fast to put those horses. You know, that was the day when
he still drew off and won. I mean, I'm not saying the Knicks Go that ran that day is going to show up here, but if he does, he's going to win.
Do you worry about they see? The three horses that are going to take the money in here, I think the argument is, yeah, they've all won, but they've all kind of beat, I don't want to say questionable horses, but
all of them have beaten significantly lesser horses.
Yeah, what's Jesus' team in here, right?
I don't agree with you. I think actually Knicks Go is beaten better. He dueled with Complexity, who in my opinion would win this race if he was in instead of Knicks Go. The Complexity ran last year. So I'll tell you the horse that worries me a little bit in the front end. Knicks Go. Here's one for you. He's got some speed. Look what they did with Channel Cat in the Man of War. Maybe they just want to air it out, try to air it out a little with him. That's the only thing. I'm not saying it's going to happen. He's the horse that could be the biggest threat to him. Mischievous Alex is just not fast enough to run with him early. He's fast enough to run close, but we'll take a look at his Carter. I'll tell you what concerns me a little bit. He was working incredibly well going into the Carter, and I'm not big on the workout things, but they do matter. And he's not working badly, but he doesn't seem to be working with the same, you ready for this? Verve that he was working before the Carter. You didn't think I could get Verve into the show today, did you?
Such a
you
sick
doubted
individual.
Me. I could have said Elon.
I don't know.
And not Musk.
I don't know. I mean, this guy's just 3 races for Saffie Joseph have been.
Oh, I'm a big fan of this horse.
Just lights out.
I'm a big fan of this horse. I hope he runs a big race today. I've been looking forward to this matchup. Knicks Go and Mischievous Alex.
And I've been looking forward to Silver State coming here. So.
Okay, why don't we'll show Silver State's race in Oakland, and
a few of these horses rerouted here, including Knicks Go. Knicks Go was originally going to the Steve Sexton Mile, to the point where Joel Rosario was going to ride him, and when he decided to run him here in the Met Mile, he ran Warriors Charge, and Joel went and rode him on Monday. I don't like that. I like when horses are being pointed to races.
No, hang on a second. Hang on a second. First of all, we're supposed to talk about this horse. We could have. Let me say something. The same thing happened at Churchill. Guys rerouted here because Charlatan didn't run.
Yeah.
So they were pointing him for a mile race a week ago. They're pointing him for a mile race a week later. So that's a flawed analysis. And by the way, are you convinced that Silver State was running in this race if Charlatan was running?
Asmussen said Silver State was running in this race after the Oakland Handicap. He was coming to the Met Mile.
They were discussing running in the Met Mile.
It's not what I was told.
Well, that's not what was reported in the papers. But regardless of that, I'm just saying, I'm not saying he wasn't coming either, but let's give the reason that guys may be showing up here that weren't going to. It's because of Charlatan not showing up. They're all afraid of Charlatan. I understand.
I think getting back to the one turn is what Silver State's going to want. His first 2 races this year off the layoff, we're going 7/8 at Keeneland and Churchill.
Again, shake me up.
He was closer to faster paces around one turn than he was around the 2 turns. I don't think this horse really likes 2 turns. I just think he's that good. And I think he's getting better.
You don't think he likes 2 turns?
I don't think he like. I think 2 turns
buy your
hurt
argument
him.
that 1 turn could help him.
1 turn's better for him.
But I don't think I think you're going a little overboard here, buddy.
I think this horse is going to love a 1-turn mile here
I
today.
picked him second, Anthony.
Love a 1-turn mile.
But let me just
today.
say something about his last race.
He got very fortunate to win his last race.
That was some trip and ride that he got from
Very
Ricardo
fortunate.
Santana in there.
Great
that was
ride.
a compliment, Ricardo, when you get mad at me when I criticize you 1 out of 80 times. Remember that I do compliment you much more.
Great ride. Fearless didn't have the best trip. I get it. He was very fortunate. I think this horse getting to a 1-turn mile.
I think he got a tremendous ride.
Yes.
And, listen, I agree with you. I think a mile. I don't think 2 turns. I think a 1.8 is stretching the best of what he's best at. And I do like the cut back. I like the cut back to a mile and around 1 turn. I do agree with you. I'm sort of kidding you about the other stuff, but I think even with a good trip, the fact he's able to win that race against a horse like Express Train, who's not much horse because all he did was beat Tis a Magician. Ooh, it all comes full circle. Just pointing it out. You like a horse in the Met Mile, but you don't like a horse that. Just checking it. I agree. I think he's an interesting horse in here. I do agree. And I happen to think that they probably were coming to the Met Mile anyway. I felt that way too. What about Dr. Post? His race in the Westchester, the prep for this race. I know the figure seems a little hard to buy, but isn't there a possibility this is one of these Todd Fletcher horses that had potential as a 3-year-old, kind of rushed along a little bit, and maybe he's just coming into his own for one of the best trainers in the history of horse racing?
He's the wild card.
Take your time,
He's
Francisco.
the wild card.
We're good.
His race last time in the Westchester was close to 10 points faster than anything he's ever run.
First race to 4-year-old.
Yeah, and I'd like to. I can't imagine it was a fluke. It was his first race in 8 months.
Except it does come up awfully fast for Wicked Trick and Mr. Buff and.
Yeah, it does, but you want to knock it down 5 points. It's still. 5 points faster than everything.
The problem is we keep talking about horses that are a lot slower than Knicks Go and Mischievous Alex of his last race. And I do think it's important to note, you're talking about horses that have run big figures.
Yeah.
The 3 and the 2 are not clear they're big figure horses. Doesn't mean they're not prepared to run their best race. And with a guy like Steve Asmussen, they usually run their best races in big races. I mean, that's one of the reasons he's won the races that he's won. And you could say the same for Todd Fletcher. I didn't pick Dr. Post in the top 4. I could have put him 4th, but that doesn't mean I don't think he has a chance.
You picking him 4th was a suck-up to Ryan Martin, right? He loves that horse.
Well,
loves
Anthony,
that horse.
pretty much everything I do in life is a suck-up to Ryan Martin.
He's your producer. He's your across-the-board producer now.
He's my man.
It's on his Twitter profile. Do you know that?
Really?
Producer across-the-board podcast.
Yeah, I feel sorry for whoever got bumped off the profile for that to be coming on there. Let's take a look at By My Standards. Let me just say one thing about By My Standards. Why do we not think, if you think that Knicks Go could benefit from turning back to 1 turn, why not him? Now, I don't know if he's the horse he was last year, but this is a horse that was consistently running good figures last year. I mean, he beat Rushy, who I think is a pretty nice horse in the 2-turn mile. I've learned to like this horse. And I'll tell you the other thing I like. I like that they took a shot and rerouted him for grade 1. The only reason you're leaving a 5-year-old in training like this, you're trying to win a grade 1, and they understood we could have run in Texas last week. And
He scratched out of the race.
It wouldn't make any difference to
run
in that race, win that race or not. This is a difference-making race for him. So even if he's 15-1, I like the fact the connections understand this is the race we have to run in. It's kind of like Caddo River running in the Woody Stevens. You've got to run in the races you need to run in. If you run 4th, it doesn't matter. I mean, you want to win or you want to run 2nd, but you got to be in the races. You know what I mean?
A son of a 2-time Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile winner winning the Met Mile would be very attractive on his card when you're trying to pedal him as a stud. I agree.
I have great respect for people.
No offense to the Steve Sexton Mile, but yes.
No, it's
Met
not.
Mile winner.
It's a simple fact.
Yes.
Race number 10 is the Resorts World Casino Manhattan.
There's a late pick 4 here, there's a late pick 5, races 9 through 13. Late pick 4, races 10 through 13. They are mandatory payouts. They are not considered the lates. They are both mandatory payouts.
Jim Riccio wants to know who's on top in our lunch bets.
I'm
up 75.
Why don't you tell him maybe he can return a text every now and then too?
You could return a text every now and then too. number 10.
It's like 3 unanswered texts there. One was important.
You know why?
At a restaurant in Bayonne.
You know why? He hates you. Race number 10. Let's take a look at. I can echo that too. Race number 10. Let's take a look at the Turf Classic at Churchill Downs. And if this isn't the race of the year, I don't know what is. And no knock on Colonel Liam. He's terrific. And listen, he ran well when he finished behind Domestic Spending in Saratoga last year. Domestic Spending's performance was absolutely brilliant here. He got no pace. He had to fight his way through traffic. The top 2 are drifting. He has to alter course here. And in about a matter of 6 strides, he swallowed up a length against Colonel Liam. I will say one thing. Colonel Liam, if you said to me only one of these 2 horses is a real mile-and-a-quarter horse, I'd say it's Colonel Liam. I wonder if Domestic...
Really?
He's a Kingman, and he ran very well in mile 3/16 in Saratoga, but I think Colonel Liam is probably more likely. He's got a long stride, the way he runs, he puts himself more in the game. I worry a little that the extra distance...
Okay.
You never consider this, because that makes you one of a million.
I think if you wanted to, I think if you told me I had to pick one, I would have knee-jerked Domestic Spending, but you make a good point.
Yeah, I think Colonel Liam. So I think the distance helps, but it's possible to watch that last race and say, I think that Colonel Liam's a better horse than Domestic Spending. It's impossible. It's no knock on Colonel Liam. Was terrific, but come on.
And I mean, you know, it's funny because he gives so many difference-making rides on. It was a great ride from Arad, and you know, Domestic Spending just got a little bit unlucky getting through there. I mean, Digital Age at one point, his own stablemate kind of,
too.
And they were drifting in front of him.
It was a fabulous ride by Flavien Prat.
Yeah,
but
great ride.
He's a terrific horse. It's nice to have this rematch of those 2. We both prefer Domestic Spending, but I'll respect Colonel Liam as well. But there is potentially more speed in this race, and that's the other thing you have to address. The likelihood that you have the same dawdling pace in here seems a little unlikely, considering the way Channel Cat was ridden last time out, and you've got Tribhuvan, the way he was ridden last time out. It's just even the presence of Bye Bye Melvin.
Yep.
So I don't think you'll have the same dawdling pace. Now, it doesn't hurt Colonel Liam, except that it helps Domestic Spending.
Absolutely. And you know, 2 horses that were ridden for speed last time. I think people got confused when Tribhuvan was on a lead and thought he just walked the dog. What a mile and an eighth and 146.
We'll get to him in a minute. Let's talk about Channel Cat and Gufo before we talk about Tribhuvan. Sorry.
It's okay.
I tell you what.
These horses are going, but my point was going to be, and now Channel Cat's here, they're going real fractions up front.
Well, you have to go with Channel Cat because he ran far and away the best races run in a long time, and a winning race in a Grade 1 by being aggressive. And this was great. And Gufo, this was bad, because he was just blowing by, and he gets to him, and he hangs. And that was a hang. And I even talked to Joel about it. I blamed him. I said they should replace him. He agreed. It concerns me a little bit that in his 3 of his last 4 races, he's lost by a head, a neck, and a nose. And that was a bad nose. In his win by a length, frankly, in the Belmont Derby, gets him absolutely nothing in this race. I mean, with all due respect to No Word, this is a different stratosphere.
Yeah,
and he had a perfect trip saving ground on the gold rail that day and angling out in the stretch. So think he'll run better. What is the one thing that Gufo has going for him today? The big thing he has going for him today?
The one thing that Gufo has going for him today?
He's a very big thing going for him. And it's not something you would ever expect me to say.
I don't know.
The benefit to Christophe Clement and Otto Benz Stables, LLC, is that he lost last time, and he carries 118 pounds because of that. The last time he ran, he was giving 6 pounds to Channel Cat. Now he's getting 4. And he's at 118, and Colonel Liam and Domestic Spending are at 124. So he is picking up a real weight break. So I'm not big on weight, but it is a mile and a quarter and 6 pounds from Liam. So I'm not a big weight guy, but I do think it's worth mentioning. If you're not a weight at all, and I'm not a weight guy, but a mile and a quarter, I think it's at least a little relevant. Is that fair?
I do, yeah. I have no right to talk about weight, but yes, I do. At that distance, with that kind of a swing, he's not picking me up. With that, it's a 10-pound swing. It's a big swing. It's a big swing.
Let's go to Tribhuvan, City Man, Rock Emperor, and why don't you talk about Tribhuvan?
I mean, this was a whoever concocted this plan deserves a tip of the hat. Take a horse that's never been, forward and just blast them off. Go as fast as you can, as far as you can, and as far as you can is right into the winner's circle. Final time, 146. He just kept going.
He did.
He just kept going. He was
didn't
terrific. Really have a breather. He just kept on going.
Here's the problem with the figure. Okay, you could say Tribune was a new horse running off in the lead, and you want to accept that, and he ran 105 Beyer. City Man also ran a 102. And Rock Emperor running a 98 effectively ran a similar figure as he's run in his other races. Do we honestly think Rock Emperor ran the same race he was running when he was in better form?
No.
So that makes me a little suspect. The figure makes perfect sense. I'm not knocking the figure. I just have a tough time seeing him going there. But I'll tell you something. Tribune, what if he's just a new horse? Because it's not like he was showing signs of falling apart in the last race. So I'm not sure why a mile and a quarter. I mean, I don't like him, but he ran last time.
If one or the other weren't in here, if Tribune or Channel Cat weren't in here, I would think one of them would have to empty. I would think one of them, you'd have to use one of them. I think with with both of them in here, again.
What about Masterpiece?
Intense.
Masterpiece.
Now, Masterpiece is kind of like the horse that the new wise guy horse, not the real wise guy.
I don't agree with that Beyer figure of 103. I think they should drop at 5 points. Those horses are not as fast as that figure suggests. But he didn't run that badly in the Turf Classic. But here's my problem. I think Domestic Spending, Colonel Liam, and maybe even Gufo are all better than the horses he faced. With all due respect, I love Channel Maker. I think they may be better horses.
They are. And that was a mile and a half.
They may be.
Colonel
Maker put together a pretty good resume of grade 1 wins and big figures.
Yeah,
Let's not
it's a little bit
be
of a
so
different
dismissive.
story, I think, going the mile and a quarter. I don't. It was an ambitious place to run this horse first time out, going a mile and a half when they didn't really have mile and a half.
Because there were so many killers in there
down in Chile. No, I understand that, but I mean, certainly think like you'd have to think the mile and an eighth was good last time. The mile and a quarter is going to be right up the horse's alley. He'll probably be a shorter price than he should be, though.
The price should he be?
David has him 6 to 1. I thought he should be 8 or 10 to 1, and I think he'll be 5 to 1.
He won't be. Race number 11, the Belmont Stakes, presented by Nyder. It's the 153rd running of the Belmont Stakes. And I should have called for the entire replay of the Derby, because I didn't realize that Anthony was going to have a opinion I don't agree with on the running of this race. But we'll show the stretch run. A lot's been made of the Derby. One thing about the Derby was it was a merry-go-round race. Nobody picked up any ground. Central Quality was wide. Didn't have a terrible trip, but not a perfect one. Hot Rod Charlie was trying to close. Nobody was closing effectively. I've never been Essential Quality's biggest fan, as you know.
I know that.
But I have respect for him. And one thing about him is he just keeps showing up. And I actually think this Derby was a step forward for him. And if it wasn't for the wide trip and the manner the race was run, he probably would have won. I think that he has the perfect running style because you've got some speed with Rock Your World and Hot Rod Charlie. I think he'll be stalking behind them in third. And I just think he's a horse that'll just keep grinding along and just keep running those fractions. And one thing about him, he just runs every time. I think he fits the Belmont perfectly. I know he's going to be 8 to 5. I'm not covering some brilliant ground. I just think he's going to probably win this race.
Fair enough.
We do have a replay Euros 4th. We can get to him when we get to the 4th.
Okay.
Do you have any argument on Central?
Zero.
So you don't like Hot Rod Charlie. What is your problem with Hot Rod Charlie?
I think Hot Rod Charlie, they've run the Louisiana Derby at a mile and a 3/16 2 years in a row. Both races they went 1-2 around the racetrack. Half the field wasn't even 3 when they ran these races. And I think he got a smart ride from Joel Rosario. He put him on the lead. He took away.
Well, they went 47. It wasn't exactly slow.
Put him on the lead. He took Midnight Bourbon out of the off of the pace and took it to him early. Mandaloon didn't show up that day.
What was wrong with his Derby?
There was nothing wrong. Well, the thing that I think was wrong with his Derby was I didn't see the traffic that they have in the short line.
He had no traffic, but that's the chart call.
I don't think he could have got a better trip. I think out of all the horses in the Derby, save the winner, he got the best trip.
He had a good trip, except horses weren't closing in the race.
Right, but
Nobody was passing. He's not the only one that didn't pass, Anthony.
all three of them didn't pass.
Nobody passed.
All three of them didn't pass.
No. All 18 of them didn't pass,
right,
actually.
But you know what I mean. Of the horses hitting that line, he's the one that had the least excuse not to go by those horses.
No, Mandaloon was actually.
No, Mandaloon was closer and chasing that horse a little bit more.
But there was a slow pace.
Yeah, I think he sitting behind the speed, tip to the 3-path, and to me, he has no excuse.
The horse saying the pocket tripped and angled out.
I thought he was the horse that had no excuse.
Can I bet you that he beats Known Agenda?
Yes.
Okay, we'll bet 2 lunches on that.
As many as you want. I don't like him for a quarter.
I'm up 75, Jimmy, by the way.
I don't like him for a quarter.
Okay, we disagree because I don't like your horse.
Okay.
But that's fine. What about Rombauer? You don't. Ooh, we'll take a look at
I'm a
Rombauer.
Rombauer fan too, and I just
You're
don't
a big
like
fan.
him.
You got him. You don't have him and Hot Rod Charlie in the top 4.
Yeah, my problem with him is now he's coming back in 3 weeks. He did it one time. It was in the American Pharaoh. This is a horse that's had 6-7 weeks between his races. I don't know why he passed on the Derby. You know, with the points, he had enough points to run.
Worked out well.
It did work out well, but it also gave him 2 more weeks, which is more along the lines of what this horse's MO has been.
So you don't like him because he's coming back on short rest?
I don't like him coming back in 3 weeks off of a race of his life that was 10 to 15 points better than anything he had ever come close to when he ordinarily runs between 6 and 7 weeks, has 6 and 7 weeks between starts. No, I don't want him.
Okay. I think he's very dangerous in here. His Preakness was extremely good. The problem I have is, and I think he'll be 3rd choice. I think Hot Rod Charlie will be 2nd choice. He might even be higher, but I think his price will still be okay. And if he ends up being 6-7 to 1, I might bet him because I think that I just don't like betting horses that win at 12 to 1 that come back at a third of the price. Mm-hmm. But let's be honest, he ran the fastest race that anybody in here has ever run. And I think he might be really good. And maybe he's just a horse that the light bulb went off. And it's not like he's running against a bunch of tigers in here. These are just okay horses. This is not the worst Belmont, but it's not the toughest field that we've ever seen the Belmont by any stretch. I think you're a little remiss. I'm trying to figure out who you have in here that you have Francisco Ina 4th. Why don't you give us a little Francisco Ina? You got him 4th.
Oh, it's just a little bit of a snark move.
You got a friend named Ina?
No, I don't know anybody named Ina. I would imagine that Rock Your World is going to. I would imagine Rock Your World is going to get the Santa Anita Derby treatment and go to the lead. I think the only other scenario in here is with Ricardo Santana Jr. aboard and Joel giving him the Army wife treatment, approaching the far turn of the Preakness, where he made that inside move and kind of went all in.
And lost by 20 lengths.
And lost by 20 lengths. I wouldn't be surprised if they were using this as a little bit of a prep for that. Is a little bit of a prep for this race.
What race does he have though that makes him?
I don't
anywhere near a contender for anything but 7th.
We've seen. I think if Rock Your World's not on the lead, he'll be on the lead today.
Okay. Good luck with
that'll
that.
Be the,
well, Rock Your World's going to be on the lead in here unless he falls down coming out of the start. We'll take a look at his Santa Anita Derby. He obviously lost all chance to start in the Derby after he broke a step slow and Javier wisely shut the door on him on highly motivated.
Did you read apparently he brushed the leg of the assistant starter because the stall in the gate is a little, it's a little
I read
smaller.
On Twitter that Joel Rosario was smoking a cigarette and talking on his cell phone and didn't have his feet in the irons, the gate open. But I read that on Twitter. So I'm sure
when
it's
they
true.
left the gate, they brushed legs because the stalls are a little smaller.
I talked to Javier about the gate, and he said the gate. I asked him about that, and he said the gate was much tighter.
It's tighter, and apparently there's a picture of him brushing the leg of the assistant starter, and that's when Joel loses his iron. He hits.
So you're saying Joel wasn't on the cell phone, maybe whatever, and he didn't have his feet in the irons, like they told me on Twitter. The problem I have with Rock Your World is I don't really have any confidence that he's that good because he rode a gold rail to victory in the Santa Anita Derby, and Medina Spirit was chasing outside. I know he beat Medina Spirit, came back with the Derby, but Medina Spirit was way against the track, and then he was with the flow of the race in the Derby, and so I don't have any confidence that he's good enough. I think if you like him in the Derby, that you're supposed to come back and bet him here. I got no problem with that.
About it.
But I just didn't like him in the Derby, so I'm not coming back with him here. But I can see why people like him.
I don't think there's anybody. I don't think there's anybody better. Maybe there's somebody as good at putting these horses on the lead in these distance races and nursing them along. You might be right. He just might not be that good. But I do think if you like him, you have to.
Yeah, if you like him in the Derby and you want to come back with him here, have at it, because I get that. You didn't really have a fair run, and he's going to be, 90%, 95% or higher, he's going to be in front in this race. He's got real speed, this horse. Okay, known agenda. Have at it. Look at his Florida Derby, by the way.
Breaks from the rail in the Kentucky Derby. While it was a better position, it's still not great in a 19-horse field because what's going to happen is what happened to him. He broke well. He was laying about 5th for the first 12 seconds, and then the field dropped over on him, and he went from 5th to 17th in the blink of an eye. Lost his position there at right around the 8th pole, about an 1/8 of a mile into the race. Got into a little trouble when they straightened out down the backside the first time, and then when Soup and Sandwich started to back up before being eased, he kind of drifted in, and Known Agenda was making a move along the inside. You see Arad stand up a little bit. He lost momentum 3 times, and he kept on running through the traffic, in my opinion.
Okay, in my opinion, the rail actually might have helped him. He broke like a shot. Irad did a great job of hustling him early. The problem he has is not that he was shuffled, because he wasn't. If he was shuffled, it's because he has no speed. He was exactly where he figured to be in that Kentucky Derby. Absolutely nowhere near the lead. He wasn't fast enough to keep up. He didn't have trouble. Nobody backed into him. He never got shuffled out. He just wasn't fast enough to be there. He never ran. Now, it was a Derby that was won by forward horses. It was dominated by forward horses, so it was totally against him. He has a trainer in Todd Fletcher who excels in this race. He supposedly had his best work recently, so he's got a lot of intangibles going for him. Here's the problem with him. He's not good enough. His Florida Derby was against a very weak field where he had a perfect trip. And he's never run a figure that's even remotely close to every other major contender in this race. I get it. Todd Fletcher is great in this race. And if he wasn't trained by Todd Fletcher, I would think that Francisco de Goina might finish ahead of him. On the other hand, with Todd Fletcher, I respect him. For that reason, I put him 4th. But I don't think he's nearly good enough to be competitive in this race. And I don't think he's run any race that gives you a sense. And I think he simply couldn't keep up in the Derby.
Okay.
That's what I think. We have a difference of opinion here. So, wait, can I bet Rombauer will finish ahead of France to go to Ina? I'll give you 2 to 1.
Take a hike, pal.
How about Hot Rod Charlie? Can I have him over? France go to Ina?
Take a hike, pal.
There's a reason I'm up 75 lunch. So, I mean, you are a fish that likes to take the bait on a hook. I was thrown in race number 12. I really expected the Big A to pick Runaway Rumor on top. I mean, you couldn't avoid Belmont. You hadn't had him on top all day, so you had to put him on top. But we're going to show Runaway Rumor's start and then finish in her debut. And then I'm going to show you a trainer stat. Because, Anthony, I am nothing if not prepared today.
Imagine you get a trainer stat after the Belmont Stakes.
This
I mean,
horse
this guy
got
just
left.
doesn't stop,
This horse broke
man.
about 3/4 of a rake slow. Got some ride by Jose Lozcano. Excuse me. It's been a long show. You can pick it up now. That was the start. Or you can show the whole race if you guys want. We'll just talk through it. Whatever makes you happy.
You want to show the 10th too after this? Come on, pick it up. All right, well, there it is.
I like the horse who finished
They
second.
jumped 8 strides.
I mean, he stayed in the rail every way a step. But this guy flew.
When this horse hit daylight, when he got to that 7th path, 8th path, look at how much ground he's making up here.
He ran. I agree.
She's
I
making
agree,
up here.
but isn't she just a sprinter? Doesn't she run like a sprinter?
Man, Andy, that was my problem with her. She obviously can get a piece of this. I put her 2nd.
How about this stat? Wait till you see this stat. There's a reason I showed this post-Belmont stat.
I'm going to tell you this right now.
Let's just have a moment.
I'm going to tell you this right now.
Let's just have a moment of silence to appreciate that the trainer is 0 for 33 with only 8 hitting the board, stretching out the turf.
I'm not going to tell you I thought this was going to be. It was going to be this bad. You just feel like being around here.
That's a shock.
You thought it was going to be. Right, yeah, I figured you were going to put up 8%, something like that. It
doesn't matter what it is. It's 0 for 33.
That's what I mean.
I thought it was relevant.
Yeah, 1,000,000%. Listen, if it's 5, 6, 7, 8%, it's relevant. Never getting the job done, less than 25% of them hitting the board. You're very proud. Look at this pose right now.
I'm really proud that I had a stat for a race after the Belmont.
Me too.
I'm proud that you appreciate it. I want you know, it means a lot to me that at least you're here to appreciate
our partnership and how much I love you. This is classic Andy Serling. A stat for a state.
I'm about to post my picks for Thursday. That's what a sick person I am. Let's take a look at Spongy. What do you like about Spongy?
I don't know what happened the second time.
There's a phone call. Could be for you.
That's the loudest phone ever.
Maybe that loud people are back there.
She took a tough beat first time out. I don't know what happened second time on the turf.
I agree, and that worries me.
I don't know what happened.
But at least she got her act back off the turf race.
Yep.
I think if she runs her first race, she's just better than these
She's going to
horses.
win.
I just think she's better.
No question about it. I'm willing to give her a pass on the second race. Like you said, she kind of put it all together last time. She galloped. I mean, she won in a common gallop.
I'm annoyed that the 10 scratch. More glitter is scratched in here, by the way. You don't get a chance to bet her back. You liked her last time. I thought Magnetique had a shot in here. Takes a little speed out, probably helps the 11. My Lips Are Sealed, who you have third and I have nowhere. I thought she found the right field last time, but I like Spongy in here
she got
as
the right field.
well.
Right.
Race number 13. Tell you
Last
what.
button on Murphy's coat.
You know who finished second in this race last year? Give you a hint. He won a grade 1.
Digital H.
Correct.
Behind Shug.
Shug. Breaking the rules. Who came back and was good for, and he kind of went the wrong way.
Yep.
So, you didn't pick the one entry?
No.
Okay. It took 13 races, but we have a massive upset on the set today, last race. Let's look at Value Engineering. And this is his last race at Saratoga on August 14th of last year. He ran very well off the layoff in June to win on a very, very important day in American history, June 11th.
That's Mr. Sterling's birthday for all
you
of you
didn't
that
have
don't
to say
know.
it. I was just having fun
you
with it.
You brought it up, so I'm saying it.
So I like him and Price Talk. You picked against the
I picked
entry?
them both. I got them second. I'm a Hard Love fan.
We'll get to Hard Love in a minute.
Yeah, I picked them second.
I thought the entry, they're both dangerous. Thought they both are good.
I don't know why that says 1A.
Say the word.
Right?
Say
1A?
the word.
I said 1A. Oh, it said 1A.
I didn't really care. I just had 1 and 1A.
I like both
I
of them.
both.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Me too.
So what do you like about Hard Love in this spot?
I like the fact this horse, yes, he was supposed to run in the 3-year-old race, didn't, rained off the turf. He's taking on older horses. Jonathan Thomas knows this horse has to run against older horses today.
He knows he needs to get a race into him before the Belmont Derby. I don't think Jonathan Thomas cares if he loses this. I mean, he wants to win, but I think he just needs to get a race into him before that because they all got rained off in the Pennine Ridge. We saw Public Sector come back and win yesterday.
I like this horse. I'm a fan of this horse.
I am too, but he's not good enough to win here.
You might be right.
This is a salty bunch of stakes quality older horses he's running against.
He's got to step up.
This is a monstrous jump up. I got him fourth, and you know I like this horse too. I don't like him. You know I like here a little bit? I like the entry. I just wanted to pick somebody else.
Good old Opry.
I think Opry's okay. I watched Opry's last race. This horse was 3 wide the entire way around the racetrack last time out and was still running at the end. He's got races that are fast enough to be competitive. I just thought he was good enough and he was going to be a big price and I wanted to throw him on top. I think the entry's way the worst to beat. I like Hard Love. I think this is too tough a race for him.
It might be.
I'll tell you what else. What about Journeyman when the trainer switched from Owen Hardy to Mike Maker? You going somewhere? You busy?
I thought we were done. I thought that was 35 was the time. My mistake.
30, right? 11:05.
I have no idea.
11:05.
Maybe.
Okay.
Journeyman.
Anthony's got a date. He's busy.
I have Journeyman
open. Phil, or Phil's cooking up those ribs.
Phil's cooking. I have Journeyman open. I have 7 horses open in the race. I mean, I know people think I'm crazy.
I do have 7 horses.
Sorry?
People think I'm crazy, but is it? Got diamonds in the soles of your shoes. Isn't that the line? Paul Simon?
I don't know. When you say diamonds in the sky, I think of Rihanna.
I once saw Paul Simon in like a semi-disguise with dark glasses and a baseball hat on in the corner in front of Gray's Papaya, yelling into the cell phone. And I want to say to him, Paul, if you're trying to be incognito, I'd get off the cell phone.
Was he talking to Julio down by the schoolyard?
Head over to Naira Bets. If you're not a member of Naira Bets, go to nairabets.com. Think of all the fun you've just had with the 2 idiots up here. If you support Naira Bets, somebody will still be stupid enough to keep paying us. Go to nairabets.com. We will match for $200 of your initial deposit. Use Belmont 25 as the promo code. Today could be the last day.
It is.
Free $25 bet as well.
Performer will be back tomorrow.
Performer is retired, but he lives on in Naira Bet's ads.
He'll be here
we
tomorrow,
have the
folks.
bet $100 or more in the first fur at 5 at Belmont. I see a man standing outside the set that will bet $100 or more in the first 5 at Belmont.
Oh, boy.
You get a, what do you get back for this? $20. Oh my God. This is the freest money I've ever seen.
Candy.
App only. Win or lose. Do that. Also got that thing. What was the other thing you said about? Oh, $20 on the
Pick six.
What race that begins?
Starts in race 6 in the Jack Pocket Jaipur. If you bet $20 or more on the app in the pick 6 and you lose,
get $10 back.
You don't need the $10 if you win. You get it back if you lose.
Anthony, if you hit it, you'll eventually need that 10. I'm fully confident of that. Also, America's Day at the Race is 11:30 to 3, and we back on after NBC, who's on from 3 to 7:15. We back on for another hour of me and Greg and the MIG and Paul will be sticking around.
If you are in the car for
Maggie gets
reason,
a pass for leaving because she works hard. Kinchin, he gets no pass from me for leaving.
If you're in the car for
Shame
some
on you.
reason, I'll be on HRRN covering the Belmont Stakes from 5 to 7:15.
Is it safe to drive your car and listen to you on HRRN?
Yes. We do.
You're sure there's never been an accident?
We do it in conjunction with NBC Sports Audio, so
We're
it's basically
done.
the same feed.
But head over to FS2 for 11:30. Anthony, it's been a pleasure.
You too, my
We'll do
friend.
this again tomorrow.
Yes, sir. We'll wrap up the Triple Crown.
Different bat time, but same bat channel.
Yes, back to
Have a wonderful
11:30.
Belmont Stakes Day. The man in the booth, John Imbrial, the voice of New York racing, up next with a reprise of the scratches and changes. Enjoy Belmont Stakes Day 153.